If they're on that plane, they're dead as soon as I see them. I said, you need to get the hell off this plane, dude. You got FBI all over your face. Get the fuck out of here. So he got off the plane. Somebody else came on that they knew a little bit more than him.
At this point, that guy with the red pants could leave. Then he said the other passengers, he wanted to keep one hostage. And a guy worked for American Airlines, David Spellman. He worked for American, and he volunteered to be the hostage, which McNally said that was nice of him. And they were about the same age. So everybody else got off. Now we had a new crew come on. We had been on duty since about 5 in the morning, and now it's about midnight.
So they put on the harness and laid it down, showed me a few things. So he left. Then the package of, they had 5 parachutes, by the way, 5 reserve parachutes, bringing on board, harnesses. So then the money's brought on board. And by a passenger, I opened it up. I looked in the 2 packages.
What is it, like a bag? Is a bag a box? Like, how's the money packaged?
Yeah, it's a leather bag, a leather mail bag for American Airlines. And I opened the zipper.
I don't know if that was the Brinks bag, but a big money bag.
Yeah.
With a zipper on top.
Pulled these 2 bags up. I never opened those bags up to see if it was the actual cash. Could have been paper. It could have been a newspaper for all I knew at that time. So what happened is that I put it back in the bag and sealed it back up. And I said, okay. I said, I'm ready to go.
So our 3 guys got off, and a new crew came on at a 2-minute interval with their hands in the air, and they had to take off the hat and turn around, pant legs rolled up to the knees and all that. So 2 minutes each one came on, so that they weren't carrying a gun.
Now, by this time, we're looking at nearly midnight that we're ready to go. Now, I'm figuring my calculations on this operation was to be out of the plane and on the ground by 1:30 a.m.
And where were you planning on jumping at? Like, what state?
Ohio or Indiana. I figured it would be south, probably Toledo, Ohio, that particular area there. I'm figuring it, by my calculations and speed and so forth, we'd be about 30 or 40 miles in the area south of Detroit, putting us in the area of Toledo, south of Toledo, so forth. I figured farm country, south of Toledo in there. So that's what I'm figuring. And as we're getting ready to take off at about midnight, the pilot, he's got the we're ready to go. We're ready to roll.
Of course, we find out later that they're doing this and they're bringing a pistol or something through the cockpit window. Then it was time for 2 of us to get off, because we had told them there's no way 4 girls plus another hostage, we could all fit in the cockpit. There's already 3 guys up there and it's not that big. So he said, okay, I'll keep 2 girls. And he said, you can talk among yourselves. Well, Jane and I just graduated. We were brand new. And Jennifer was the number 1. And she said, you 2 get off here. So I remember, in the meantime, forgot. Before before this happened, I'm sorry, when they brought the money and everything on, he got up and he got his knife and he slit open the small pouch. And it did have 2,500, but he wanted large bills. And it had packets of tens and ones. And he got mad. What is all this? And I'm stuck in the corner. And he threw some at me and he gave some to Jane. Oh, and then, forget that. Okay, so we got the money. He then looks at the parachutes. We didn't know it at the time, but he's never jumped before. And so, crazy. Back then, I had made one parachute jump on my own. And so I knew when those parachutes came that they were reserve chutes, but I wasn't going to tell him. And so he says, tell one of the guys up front, show me how to put this on. So they sent the flight engineer back, who demonstrated how to put on a parachute harness and attach the chute. And the straps were tight and he was kind of hunched over. And he said, that isn't, and he had the gun on him all the time. And he said, that doesn't look right to me. Well, at this time, the captain said, we have a parachute expert at the airport who will show you how to put one on. So this guy came on, an FBI guy. He came on, he demonstrated how to put on the parachute harness and all that. So McNally said, okay, I want you to open that one and this one and that one, 3 out of 5, to make sure they opened and everything looked good inside. So that was good. So he went off and took the chutes. So now it was time for Jane and I to get off. And I remember we stood at the top of the stairs and I remember saying to her, like, where do we go?
The brakes are locked. Okay. He starts to throttle the engine. So we're ready to roll. At that exact minute, he says, there's a vehicle on the runway.
Out of the darkness came this pickup truck. And the guy said, FBI, hop in. So we hopped into his pickup truck and I'm carrying the money because he had just thrown this money at me. Well, I didn't have it very long. That guy took it and takes us to the back of the airport. So they put Jane in one room. I'm in another room. 1972, no computers. So we have flip charts, eyes, nose, mouth. So we're putting together what he looks like. And so then a guy came and he took our 2 composites. Yeah, we did a really good job because he never took his glasses off and, had his wig on. And so while this is going on, we hear about a car running into an airplane. And we said, what's this all about?
I see a vehicle on the runway. There's a vehicle coming down the runway. Oh my God, he's going to hit us.
And I guess there was a guy in a bar at the Marriott, and he was getting more and more drunk. And he's basically said, I'm going to get that son of a gun. He got in a brand new Eldorado car, and he rammed through 2 chain link fences, got onto the runway.
The vehicle hit the plane, and it was like a bump. And I moved forward just a little bit. And then there was another bump, and I moved forward a little bit. And what that was the vehicle hit the nose gear, hit the nose wheel, and then spun around and hit the main strut, the main wheel, and came to a halt. I thought it was an FBI trick. Pilot saying, oh, we got hit by a vehicle. Yeah, right.
They don't know whether he didn't see the plane because there were no lights on the plane. I guess the hijacker didn't want him on. And he got caught. He hit the nose gear and got caught under the left wing. And it's a wonder he lived. He did, but I guess he was very badly hurt.
And then here comes the FBI. Shoot out at OK Corral. Yeah. So when that happened, I jumped out of my seat and I was screaming. I says, and they could hear me in the cockpit. I'm screaming, get this motherfucking plane in the air now. Get this motherfucking plane in the air now.
So now they have a disabled airplane. So now they got to get another plane. So they put the other plane, and it's got to be the same type. It's got to be a 727 with the rear stairs. because you can't parachute out of a 707 or something. And so everybody apparently carried something, whether it was the money or the parachute or whatever. He had the gun. And so they went down the rear stairs and up the stairs of the new one.
Pilot came on the intercom there and he says, "We have been hit by a vehicle and we are disabled. We are disabled." I came to the conclusion that it wasn't a trick by the FBI. What next? We're hit by a vehicle, Cadillac. We're fully loaded on the tanks. We got 10,000 gallons of fuel on this plane. And I'm thinking, explosion. If that Cadillac dislodged any fuel lines in the plane or in the Cadillac, the only thing that saved us, I'm sure, is that engine of the Cadillac was not a hot engine. If that was a hot engine, I think there would have been an explosion. But he had just minutes before been over at the Marriott Inn across the street and drove from there to the airport and down the runway. So within 5 or 10 minutes, that engine was not hot. If it had been hot, I think the carburetor would have exploded. Okay, I said, we need to order another plane. We are going to get another plane. And what we're going to do, I don't care which airline owns the plane. If it's a 727 on this tarmac, I'm taking it.
And then I know in the trial, which was in December, I met, there was a guy who was a sharpshooter. And I remember him saying that he had the guy in his sight. He was squeezing the trigger.
And what you need to do is tell ground control that you need to top off the tanks of any 727 on this field here, and get it ready. We're taking it. So that took 90 minutes to get that done.
You see police outside stationed around?
No, I don't see anything. I don't see anything. The window shades, the shades in the plane are dropped down. I'm not looking out that window because I know they've got snipers. They always have snipers. And as I discovered later, they had 5 snipers. 5 snipers looking to get a bead on my head to take me out.
When he caught one of the stewardesses' shoulders, and it was just too close to pull that trigger.
With their high-powered rifles. The pilot said, yeah, we're going to get the plane. We got the plane. Fully loaded tanks. So he said, where do you want to put it? I said, 100 to 150 feet in front of our plane. And then we'll make the change. Get the crew over there. And I told him, I says, wheels locked, idle at 10%, 5 or 10% of the jets, and that's park it. If I go up on that plane and I see anybody on that plane, I'm going to blow them away.
So he let him go?
Without any hesitations. None. If they're on that plane, they're dead as soon as I see them. We made the switch.
How do you get out without them shooting you?
I had a stewardess with me. First of all, the pilot, the co-pilot, and the flight engineer, and the hostage, 4 men, walked over there. One of the guys that was an FBI agent. Now, he had, as he's moving from our plane to the new plane,